have facilities in hospitals, forests, Aboriginal communities, urban neighborhoods, media production studios, and right downtown at Robson Square, which you executive MBAs may be quite familiar with. We have more than 13,000 people working at UBC, as Don mentioned, and we manage an operation that's the size of a city of 50,000 people. We're not a business, but we do have experience dealing with similar issues and working closely with businesses and other institutions like yours. To be honest, there have been times in the past few years when I felt that I was confronting a persistent myth, a very persistent myth, that UBC is an ivory tower. I hope that I've made some headway in that regard, but frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if there was still some skepticism in this room regarding the relevance of our university to your real-world enterprises. That's okay. I understand. Our relationship is still growing. It's been 6 years now, and I feel that in spite of our friendship, I can now finally be completely honest with you. Today, I've decided that based on our strong relationship, I can come clean once and for all and tell the truth. We are not an ivory tower. UBC is in fact a leader of a vast and powerful conspiracy to change the world as we know it. There, I've said it. Now, before my fellow legal professionals get too excited, let me stress that we are not a criminal conspiracy. When I use the word conspire, I mean it in its original Latin sense, conspire, cum spirere, to breathe together. Nothing necessarily sinister about that. Nothing terribly clandestine about it either, for ours is not a secret conspiracy. It's actually a very open, public, and transparent conspiracy. It is a breathing together with this express purpose: to make powerful, practical, transformational changes in our environment, in our society, in our well-being, in our economy, and yes, in your life and in the way you do business. Now, I'm not saying that we've been doing this while being under the cover of an ivory tower. While some of you may have labored under that misconception, this conspiracy has been going on for some time now, and it's proving to be of great benefit to our co-conspirators, of whom I'm happy to say that there are many in this room. You know who you are. I plan to introduce you to a few of them today, and for those of you who are not yet co-conspirators, you should be. And I'm here to invite you in, using not at all secret handshakes. You may have noticed that today's lunch was billed as a talk about partnerships that can transform the world. So what's this about conspiracy theory? Well, for one thing, I hope that I may have got your attention. And for another, I want to draw your attention to a distinction that I think is important. The word partner is a great one, but these days it can be used in so many fuzzy ways. A partner could be a title in a firm, it could refer to one person romantically connected to another, or in cowboy style, it could just be, howdy, partner. It's too easy, in my opinion, to think of a partnership just as a relationship without necessarily focusing on its purpose. What is the relationship for? But when we conspire together, when we breathe together, there is a powerful emphasis on purpose. That purpose involves some kind of real change or real accomplishment. There's a risk and a benefit. You've got skin in the game. Failure can bring real consequences. What is our purpose together? Well, our highest purpose at UBC is not to bestow certificates prized by employers. though the skills, knowledge, and capabilities represented by those pieces of paper are invaluable in your world and mine. Nor is our purpose even to support a collection of eminent, independent-minded professors, though the academic freedom they exercise differentiates the nature of their research from that which you can buy from the private sector. Our highest purpose, the fundamental reason we exist as an institution, is to change the world for the better. And if I can be so bold to say it, I think that's also the fundamental reason that your organization, your company exists or should exist too. By adding value, realizing competitive advantage, innovating, solving problems, providing benefits, you change the world and you yourselves can prosper. Dominic Barton is the Global Managing Director of McKinsey & Company, and he's also, I'm proud to say, a UBC graduate. In the Harvard Business Review recently, he wrote an article entitled Capitalism for the Long Term, in which he expressed well how and why we share an interest in transformation. He said, and I quote, "Myopia plagues Western institutions in every sector," end quote. He calls for changing how we view business's value and role in society. And he bluntly suggests why we must do that. We can reform our system, or we can let the system be reformed for us by the work of others. In our university, we're trained to resist myopia, but we're nevertheless constantly challenged to be an active rather than a passive agent in a changing world. I believe that this is our common challenge. So why do we conspire? We conspire because we've learned that the best way to accomplish real, meaningful things that truly change the world for the better is to join forces. As a university, we have three powerful capabilities. And over the centuries, the mission of universities has evolved to emphasize them. One is to preserve and transmit knowledge through education. The second is to create new knowledge through research. And the third is to engage actively and to serve our many communities as good neighbors and citizens. Optimizing these three capabilities requires a delicate balance that demands constant calibration. We must be part of the world in which we live and also, to some extent, apart from it. Education can't usefully be dictated by popular trends, but it has to be relevant to our current conditions. To use management biz speak, we need to know what's in the box in order to think usefully outside it. If we come too close, we can lose our perspective. But if we pull too far back, we lose our responsiveness. And this is where a university can become an ivory tower. Our strategy for achieving our purpose and maintaining this balance has always been to identify and hold firmly to our core values as an institution. But once we've done that, we at UBC have increasingly realized that we don't necessarily have to do things just because that's the way we've always done them. We jealously guard our freedom to teach and to learn. We honor our commitments and we assert our responsibilities to society. But after that, everything is open. Everything. Classwork with real-world impact in neighborhoods out of the classroom. Research, development, and demonstrations of technology in collaboration with government and private business. Global agreements that share resources and initiatives with other influential institutions around the globe. Community service learning, learning exchanges, co-op work programs, mentorships, startup incubators, infrastructure investments, joint ventures, executive learning, distance education, learning, international MBAs. Vast conspiracies everywhere you look. UBC has more than 300 formal agreements with institutions and organizations around the globe, more than enough to cause a glut in frequent flyer miles. But that's just a hint at the enormity of our conspiracies. There are right now thousands of people breathing together to make meaningful change in more ways than I can possibly detail during a considerate lunchtime conversation. But I want you to know about them, and I want you to locate your own interests within these conspiracies. So I've prepared a little write-up listing some of the ones that I think will intrigue you the most, and it's here for you to look at later. It was on all of your chairs. That should give us some time to do what I've not done before here, but what I've always wanted to do, which is to share the spotlight with some of UBC's notable collaborators and associates. It's one thing for me to talk about how good it is for UBC to join forces with others to accomplish things, but I think it's much more useful for you to hear from others what that's like. The first person with whom I'd like to share the mic is Janet Austin, Chief Executive Officer of the YWCA of Metro Vancouver. UBC and the Y have been working together for several years to make a difference in the downtown east side. And a number of our students have taken advantage of community service learning and community-based research programs as part of their studies. The YWCA has a rooftop garden that they converted from an ornamental space to an organic food garden, which includes a mini orchard. The produce from the garden goes into the kitchen at the Crabtree Corner community, where it helps feed women and their families in the downtown east side. Ask anyone who's tasted them. The fresh vegetables and the fruit that come from this garden are really good, in addition to doing good. One of our students, Eamon Watson, got connected with the YWCA through an undergraduate course in land and food systems. His efforts helped the Y to optimize its soil management and composting practices, as well as helped to realize the mini orchard in the space. Another student, Dennis Fan, studying in applied sciences, worked with the YWCA to design and to build a gray water filtration system for the garden. Today, I understand that the garden is on the way to yielding 1 ton of organic food each growing cycle, and all of it operated and managed by volunteers from the downtown east side. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's highly possible that you're not involved in urban gardening or that your business is not located in the downtown east side. But every business is sensitively dependent on the social ecosystem of the communities in which it operates and which it serves. In pursuing these projects outside of the classroom, engaging with living, breathing organizations such as the YWCA, our students develop skills and awareness and community consultation that will benefit any business they work with, not to mention the communities in which they live. The next working relationship I want to highlight with you is one that's going to help UBC achieve its very ambitious zero greenhouse gas emission goals and help Nextera Systems Corporation, the Vancouver-based clean energy company, launch itself into the world. The initiator of this joint venture was Jonathan Roan, Nextera's CEO. Aware of our commitments to sustainability, it was John who approached UBC with a proposal that we incorporate a new biomass gasification system into our campus infrastructure to use local wood waste to generate heat and electricity. The concept made shockingly good financial sense, and it fit beautifully into our research agenda. But it required us to change how we manage our infrastructure and think about policies related to intellectual property. Remember what I said about holding fast to our values but being open to changing everything else? That's what happened here. This project helped us restructure our policies to better reflect the realities of working with young companies, specifically as it relates to ownership of intellectual property. Working together to realize the bioenergy research and demonstration project are the City of Vancouver, supplying wood waste, General Electric, contributing the gas engine, Professor John Grace of our Faculty of Applied Science researching the project, Nextera demonstrating its gasification technology, and every single person on campus who depends on heat or light. Well, it's an exciting project. Well, you may have heard me speak of the university as a living laboratory. This is a living example of that concept. UBC invested $5.5 million to get this Nextera project going. We mean it when we say we will have skin in the game. I believe that UBC is out in front of most research-intensive universities in this way, enabling companies like Nextera, perhaps companies like your company, to do research, development, and demonstration of breakthrough ideas. Sometimes you can't find the needed partner in the private sector, but it's increasingly possible that you could find it at UBC. Come and conspire with us. It's awfully difficult for me to select just 3 examples that I wanted to share with you. I thought of Janet because the purpose of our work together is social transformation. It involves the university's core mission of education and community engagement, and it's close to home. Working together with John, Nextera and our other team members in the bioenergy project has as its purpose economic and technological transformation that involves our research mission. And it's a great example of our university responding to ideas and initiatives that come to us from people like you. That's something, frankly, that I hope to see much more often. The third story I want to share with you is a global one, and it's also one of our newest. You may recall that at last year's lunch, I devoted my remarks to how you could use UBC to enter or improve your position on the world stage. For those of us on the Pacific Rim, that often translates to emerging markets in China and India and elsewhere. These are very important, and UBC has a large number of initiatives in place and in process in that area. But global means the whole globe. And if there's a continent that's been thinking and acting globally the longest, for good and ill, it's been Europe. Among the many institutions that UBC has strong working agreements with is the University of Copenhagen and the Copenhagen Business School. We've been collaborating in various ways for quite some time. There's a good fit here. Our values are closely aligned and our cultures are compatible. They, like we, have strong commitments to sustainability. They admire our focus on entrepreneurship, and we admire their strengths in business design thinking. One area in particular where we both saw great opportunities for working together is healthcare. We've had a relationship with Copenhagen University since 1994, and it's something that's been cultivated by BC Life Sciences Ambassador Søren Harbel, and this spring it blossomed into something much stronger and more extensive. In June, I was privileged to go to Copenhagen along with several colleagues, and there were 2 important conspiracies formalized. One is a strong strategic partnership between the faculties of pharmaceutical science on both sides. This will enable some exciting collaborative research and the opportunity to participate in Europe's Innovative Medicines Initiative, which is a public-private partnership kickstarted with €4 billion. Its purpose is to fund collaborative research and build networks of private industry and academic experts to boost pharmaceutical innovation. Our respective faculty, graduate students, and postdoctoral fellows will work on both campuses and share research. Now, just recently, an executive MBA team from Vancouver spent a few weeks in Denmark as well, studying, visiting healthcare facilities, and examining the best practices of public-private healthcare delivery in that country. This was the first part of another strategic affiliation between the Sauder School of Business and the Copenhagen Business School, whose purpose is to provide practical, real-world global experience and global exposure for our students and our faculty, and theirs as well. Last week, Acting President and Dean of Research of the Copenhagen Business School, Alan Irwin, and the Dean of Education, Jan Molen, paid a reciprocal visit to our campus. While they were here, I invited them to say a few words to you. They're back in Denmark now, and rather than impose the 9-hour time difference and the vagaries of the internet on the task, we thought it better to ask them to record their remarks. They kindly took a moment out of their schedule and left this behind for you.
Hi everyone, hello Stephen, and I hope you're having a great lunch, and I hope the speech is going really, really well. So we're over from Copenhagen because we're very excited about our partnership with UBC and with the Sept School of Business. We think it's a fantastic opportunity to really build very close ties between our Scandinavian university and of course Canada. And we both, by the way, have beautiful cities, and it's something very special to connect us up. But what do we think will come out of it? Well, from our point of view, we see this at one level. It's a very practical initiative. We want to open up the relationship between our students, our staff, and really learn from one another. But more than that, we see it as a way of developing what we call a business in society approach. We believe very strongly in responsible management education, in sustainability, in establishing new ways of thinking about business. And of course, that reflects very much our Scandinavian roots and our local traditions. But more than that, we see the partnership with UBC as a way of connecting right across the world. Everyone can look at emerging markets right now, and we all have to play our part in teaching people and generating new ideas in order to help us work in those exciting new environments. So we think by working with UBC, we can do something both for Scandinavia and for Canada, but also by opening up a global alliance, a global partnership, to really make a difference in terms of, in our case, business education.
In 1624, the poet John Donne wrote, "No man is an island entire of itself." One way to rephrase that idea for business in the 21st century is, no one does anything in-house anymore. Perhaps that's a more prosaic expression, but the point, I think, is similar. If you have a purpose, it's wise to communicate it, because in doing so, in making it public, you'll find both that you could attract others who share your purpose and find people who potentially have complementary capabilities to help you fulfill it. UBC is realistically a vast resource of capability right in your neighborhood. And we're eager to work with you. No matter what you want to accomplish in almost any area, the chances are that we will share those goals and can conspire with you to reach them. Conspire, cum spirere, to breathe together. I love the image. A team of different people gathered together in a huddle, breathing together as they formulate their plan. Breathing together. There are two additional senses of this image that I'd like to suggest as I conclude. The first is that we can no longer ignore the fact that we all breathe the same air. This is literally true of our environment, but only recently have we come to truly feel it. It's our shared resource and our shared responsibility. This is the essence and the urgency of sustainability as it relates to our world, our economy, our society. It's also metaphorically true that we breathe the same air in enterprise. As businesses and institutions operating in an increasingly interdependent global environment, we're conspiring whether we realize it or not. And the more aware and mindful we are of our connections, the better for us all. And second, the image of breathing together conjures an orchestra of musicians with their wind instruments and brass, French horns, oboes, saxophones, piccolos, trumpets. We may each try to blow our own horn, but think of how much more powerfully we can play if we sound them in concert. Teamwork, joint venture, collaboration, strategic alliance, community organizing, cooperation, association, coalition, tribe, partnership. There are many ways we speak of it. The important thing is to do it, and for that, we need one another. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and conspirators, let us join forces so that we may achieve real things that transform our world for the better. Thank you all.